I don't even know what I just watched. The Minnesota Vikings just defeated the San Francisco 49ers. Sorry, I had to clear my throat a little bit because I'm I'm still kind of trying to I'm still kind of trying to digest what the heck I just watched. So, Minnesota, obviously, they just defeated the San Francisco 49ers, and this was a really interesting game. And this is something that I noticed a lot when I was watching Minnesota. I said it in some of my earlier videos, but the Minnesota is a lot better team than they actually are. And the reason is because they don't have a consistent running game. If you look, box score to box score, it's the story is the same. They just have a very, very limited run game. And you cannot win in this league when you're a one-dimensional offense, especially with Kirk Cousins, no offense, as your quarterback. I mean, you saw it against Philadelphia. You saw it against Tampa Bay, just to name a couple from earlier in the season. But this trend kind of continues. You need to have a consistent run game. I know that this is a quarterback league and all that stuff, and these wide receivers are great, but the notion that the running backs are not valuable or that a good run game, it's better to be an efficient run team than a consistently good run team. It's a bunch of nonsense pushed by analytical gurus. Every team in week 1 and week 2 were punished after they tried to devalue their own running back, or like in the case of Minnesota, losing Dalvin Cook is a big deal, and there's still a lot of adjustment going on there. But you saw what Minnesota could be when they had more of a two-dimensional offense, especially in that first half. It felt like Minnesota was running the ball really well, and it took a lot of the pressure off of Kirk Cousins. You could feel like this offense was moving a little bit. Now, there were a couple absolutely lucky plays like that snagged by Jordan Addison, even though that should have been completely intercepted, which is not something that usually happens in the favor of Minnesota, unless it's the playoffs, and in which case they get their way. But the thing with Minnesota is that they have a lot of pieces. And if there is a team that is going to catch up to the Lions, it's Minnesota. I'm going to throw out the standings real quick for the NFC North. 5-2, 3-4, 2-4, 2-5. Vikings are not far out of it at all. And they haven't played the Lions at all yet. So there's an opportunity the Vikings could sweep later on in the season and win the tiebreaker that way. Now, fun fact, look at these records. 5-2, 3-4, 2-4, 2-5, 5-4, 3-4, 2-4, 4-3. That's right, baby. Most of these teams are right where I thought they'd be in my early record prediction. I will have a link to those videos in the description. But it's crazy. I had the Lions 5-2 at this point. Vikings 3-4. The Packers 2-4. I was completely wrong about the Bears. But let's be honest, everybody is wrong about the Bears. This upcoming schedule for Minnesota looks really, really good. First off, they get to play the Green Bay Packers, who are not good. The Atlanta Falcons, who are consistently inconsistent. The New Orleans Saints, who have also been consistently inconsistent. The Denver Broncos, who have been a disaster under Sean Payton. I still think that, by the way, Nathaniel Hackett is a better coach than Sean Payton at this point in the season. Then they get to play the Chicago Bears, Las Vegas Raiders, Cincinnati Bengals. That's going to be a rough one, especially in Cincinnati. Then you play the Lions, Packers, and then Lions again. If the Vikings just take things week by week and stack up some wins, they could be heading into the final week or 2 weeks of the season with the opportunity to snag the division from the Lions by late tiebreakers. This is actually a scenario that I kind of figured would be an absolute possibility. Now, I had Minnesota getting 3-4 at this point and finishing the season 9-8. I don't think that's out of the cards here. I think that's probably where they'll end up, all things considered. But if there's anybody that's going to catch the Lions, it is Minnesota. It would take a complete miracle. Like the Bears to be competitive would have to win out and cross their fingers that everybody else completely like soils themselves, so to speak. And I don't think that's going to happen. Now, let's take a moment and talk about the Lions a little bit because I've been really optimistic about the Lions this year. They're my Super Bowl pick for this season, mainly because I figured that their offense would be roaring, their defense would be good, and Lamar Jackson just totally ate them alive. And I don't think this is all on the Lions. I think this is just Lamar Jackson's coming out party. I was also, just as I predicted the general trajectory of this division at this point in the season, I also predicted that the Ravens would start out slow. Now I had them starting the season 4-3. Instead, they're also 5-2. But Lamar Jackson is finally getting a point where he's developed in this offense, and now you're seeing what he can be, or at least what the Ravens are trying to help him become. And he was a guy who just knows how to sling the ball around the football field. So I don't, and especially with the Lions, like losing Montgomery, had a bunch of like injuries that people were kind of rushing back to try to get back to this game. The good thing for the Lions is that they have a bye week after the Monday Night Football game, which that's a totally winnable game. If the Lions lose against the Las Vegas Raiders Monday Night Football, I mean, that's when things get really freaky. And this division could really, truly be up for grabs. But I still like the Lions here. I still think the Lions are going to be able. I predicted them to go into the bye week 6-2 and finish with 11-6 and win the division. I still think that's the most likely path. But again, this is the nice thing about the location of your bye week matters. This is a huge thing to consider, because early bye weeks either A, allow you to reorient yourself, or B, they destroy your momentum. Like I will like the Lions, when they went on that flip from 1-6 to go 9-8 last year, their things started turning around the week after their bye week. Now they came out of the bye week, I think they had to face the Dallas Cowboys, which they lost, but you could tell that after that bye week, they were able to get things rolling. This is actually around the perfect time that the Lions would want to have a bye week to kind of like reset, retune. And because Minnesota beat San Francisco, they still have a chance to get the number 2 seed or the number 1 overall seed. Because remember, San Francisco and Philadelphia have to play each other in the regular season. So that's another good thing for the Lions. Now I do want to take a moment too and also talk about the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, and these two teams have found themselves in very similar places. Packers 2-4, Bears 2-5. Justin Fields going to be an MVP candidate? No. There are a lot of people in Chicago, talking about, oh hey, maybe Tyson Bagent is the answer. Maybe Justin Fields is the problem. That's not it. Okay, that is not the problem in Chicago. There are a lot of things wrong in Chicago, from the coaching staff making gaffes. I mean, we still don't know what happened to their defensive coordinator. Guys, his house may or may not have been raided by the FBI. Yeah, look that one up. There was a whole bunch of drama going on with the Chicago Bears. And that's not to mention that the coach is making questionable decisions. Justin Fields, despite, all the moves they made in the offseason, their defense sucks, which again, I predicted that their defense would suck. I just figured their offense would be good enough to cover to cover those holes, and it's not. But the Bears, just like Minnesota, they have, in theory, a good schedule to help bounce back, especially in this division where everybody else kind of sucks. So the Bears do have a chance to turn this season around. I don't think that's very likely, but anything can happen. The weird thing is that the teams who started chirping around about how they're not dead because the Lions weren't, specifically the Bears, And the Broncos, they both won this week, which is confusing. But it's also one of those head scratching things where, if you believe you're not dead, then you truly have a chance. Because this, guys, we're only in what, end of week 7? There's still 10 weeks of regular season football. Sorry, 10 games for your team of regular season football left to play. Depending on when you have the bye week. 11 more weeks of football until the playoffs. How about that? How about that? Yeah, that's a little better. The Packers are the ones that I'm the most concerned about, though, because if things don't work out in Chicago, they got enough draft capital to change things up. They can fire Eberflus at the end of the season, go get themselves a legitimate head coach who is not a horrible defensive coach. Maybe try to help develop the next quarterback they decide to ruin. The Packers, while they had Aaron Rodgers in the building, drafted Jordan Love instead of T. Higgins. I don't think that gets enough talk. Everybody talks about how they could have drafted Jalen Hurts. The bigger thing is that they could have drafted another wide receiver. T. Higgins has been awesome for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's been instrumental in helping them get to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship the last 2 games, and helping to develop Joe Burrow his rookie year. But the Packers focus on stability more than actually trying to win championships and swinging for the fences. The Packers were blessed for years with a Hall of Fame quarterback. And you're starting to see the ripple effects of them not actually having a Hall of Famer to cover the holes. This roster is not that different from the team that just went 8-9 the previous year. It's not. It shouldn't be as bad, especially with a quarterback who sat behind Aaron Rodgers for all that time, a good offensive line, a good head coach. Seriously, Packers fans, don't start talking about how Matt LaFleur is a bad coach. Nobody was saying this when Aaron Rodgers was there. No one. And now all of a sudden you got a new quarterback and it's all the coach's fault. No, it's not. Jordan Love is not who you thought he would be. He's not. At least not right now, but he's not. He is not who you want to boot Aaron Rodgers for. This was a calculated move by the GM, and to be honest with you, a bunch of spoiled fans. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Green Bay fans, you have been blessed with so much Hall of Fame quarterbacks, like quarterback talent, that you didn't know what it was like to not have one. And when you don't have one, things like this happen. Weird things happen. You lose the teams you shouldn't have, and you find yourselves in really deep holes early. And this is a spot where I'm gonna level with you guys. I'm from Ohio. I've been a Cleveland Browns fan for most of my life, and one of the things that always happened in Cleveland was that we'd get a new quarterback, then we'd blame everything around him, and then we'd fire we'd fire coaches, we'd get new people, then we end up booting the quarterback anyways, and then you just get in a turnstile where no matter what you do, no matter what draft pick you make, no matter what free agents you sign, you're still not good enough because you're not good enough at the best position, and even if you were to actually draft a good quarterback, you'll find a way to ruin him. Jordan Love is in the perfect situation, okay? He is. And he's not great. Maybe he can be a good good quarterback, but you're not competing for the division. You're not. If Jordan Love is your guy for the next several years, good luck. I sincerely mean it, Packers fans. Good luck. I don't see this getting any easier whatsoever. It's a lot of bad vibes, and then everybody wants to blame Joe Barry. Joe Barry is not the only issue on this team. The Packers are not as good without a Hall of Fame quarterback as people thought. So either you gotta invest a lot of heavy draft capital, build this thing up, so you can make Jordan Love mid, or you draft a new quarterback. Either way, Aaron Rodgers is the big winner here. I know he tore his Achilles and all, but Aaron Rodgers was mad at the front office for all of the nonsense of drafting Jordan Love instead of helping him, for drafting every other person except a first-round wide receiver to help him win another championship with Green Bay. And the Packers refused. They saw stability. The fans defended that. And this is where it gets you. So enjoy this, Green Bay. Enjoy this. I hope the Packers suck for the next 20 years so you can finally understand what it's like to be any other fan base ever. Because it's really hard. Unless you're Mike Tomlin and you're a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, it's a hard knock life without a Hall of Fame quarterback. So enjoy the bottom of the basement. Because who knows, Packers? It's a long season. You may end up being last after all. That out of the way, guys. Thanks for watching this episode of State of the North.